Welcome to the Unclehack Podcast, where dudes pretty much just talk dude shit.
Holy shit. Wow. What is going on? What is happening out there? I think we all know what we're going to be talking about today. There's just things that are surrounding the current assassination attempt of President-elect Donald Trump. That is just wild. But before that, we have some upcoming dates. Speaking of America, we'll head on out to San Jose, California next week, Brea, California, Los Angeles, and Pasadena, California. That is the 24th to the 27th of July. And then we just added August 10th in Calgary, August 17th, Thunder Bay, September 6th, Edmonton, September 26th, Comox, British Columbia, September 27th, Victoria, British Columbia, October 19th in Fort St. John, November 9th in Grand Prairie, November 16th in Toronto, and December 19th in Oxnard, California. More dates are going to be added this week, so head on over to the dangercatshop.com to support the boys on the road. If you got a location, we should probably check out. DM me or comment. Come to here. If you want to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/dangercat69. All the description, or head to the description down below, so that way you can click on the link and join the Patreon. It's a great way to support this show, keep this show rolling forward. We have a phenomenal episode next week. I'm going to leak it right here, right now. There's a woman on Twitter. She goes by Unacceptable Canadian, Tammy the Unacceptable Canadian. And she has dug very deep into the Pickton Farms case. Everything surrounding Robert Pickton. Now, I know it's very controversial to talk about. I know that this subject is sensitive, especially with our names attached to it. But Tammy has agreed to come on the show with Sam Walker and I and talk about what she has found in her research. Now I've listened to a few podcasts with her where she's talked about some of the research that she's come across, and it's fucking insane how deep this goes. And it makes more sense why this is such a sensitive thing to bring up. And I know, well, you guys did it in such a manner that some found distasteful. I get it. We got people talking about it, and now people are interested in telling us what they have found around the case. And it makes sense why you would want to vilify anybody who wants to bring this up. Now, could you do it in a more graceful manner like Tammy does? Yes, but that is not our style. Okay? We want to kick the door down to a house party with our dick in our hand, helicoptering that thing, being like, who wants some rhubarb pie? Huh? Who brought the Cheetos? This guy. Enough of this. It's I don't know what is left in the deck of cards for season 2024. Okay? These past 5 years, I can't keep up anymore. You know, this is Stranger Things season after season after season. It is just your brain and eyeballs almost can't comprehend some of this shit. And we're so desensitized to it now, I feel like, you know, when these things are brought up, you're kind of like, you slough it off. You kind of put people through the ringer since probably about 2001. Sorry. There's always something in the news. There's always something. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier. And now we're sitting with headlines across all major news outlets. They differ from, you know, news agency to news agency. some of it just doesn't quite make any fucking sense what these guys are writing about, you know? It just doesn't, I can't fathom sitting behind a computer screen with some of the things that they write. It just does not make any goddamn sense whatsoever. Okay? Now with that being said, I have a tough time wrapping my head around it. I can't even imagine how most normal folks who do not sit on the internet as much as I do feel about these kinds of things. You know, the magnitude of an assassination attempt in an election year. Just, you know, you kind of go, holy shit. Now, I know, and you see a lot of people, well, don't be such a conspiracy theorist right out of the gate. We don't got the facts. Nobody knows what the facts are. That's the thing, is these news agencies have made themselves out to be fools so many times that you cannot trust most of the information that they are giving to you. Given, like, we're going to talk about some of these headlines. Like for instance, CNN's reporting Trump slips on stage due to loud noises. You're like, what the hell are you talking about? You know, they're actively putting this out there. The Washington Post put out an article similar to that. And meanwhile, you have folks boots on the ground recording in real time, uploading it to the internet so we can see from their perspective of what went on. Clearly, there was a gunman on the roof, right? But the fact that they are reporting this and then wonder why these news agencies are losing the trust of the public, and they scratch their head from this because you do not report the truth. And then you have these almost bootlicking dorks that just, they've clung on to the idea that everything posted is real from these people that are, and I say this in air quotes, accredited journalists with these noise. And now the rise with independent journalism is really soaring because these folks, what do you have to lose? You have your almost everything when you're an independent. You literally are putting it all on the line. And that's why these people that do dig and try to get the truth, which is why I'm excited to talk to somebody like Tammy next for the next episode that's coming out about is because they have everything to lose. This isn't for money. You know, they ask for support, and if you're willing to give it to them, they are very gracious and grateful that you're willing to support them on trying to uncover the truth. Journalism is coming back, and not in the form that they wanted it to, you know, not in the form of government funded organizations like the CBC. That's why a lot of people are calling for them to be defunded, is because now you've seen that the waters aren't as clear as you thought that they were. And I think a lot of that came from the pandemic, is they had zero problem putting out lies without questioning any of it. And had no problem hopping on the side of the authoritarians that were shoveling down all of this rhetoric, or handing them this rhetoric to shovel down our throats. And I think that upset a lot of people, and rightfully so. I don't think there's nothing wrong with being upset about being lied to. You know, if I sat here and told you that I have a 12-inch penis, and I told you that every day until the point that you believed it, and then the day came when I had to whip it out and you realized that, oh, wow, he's 10 inches short on what he was actually saying. And then I came up with another lie and be like, well, I have this penis extender that I use to bang my wife with, right? So technically it is a 12-incher, just with a little added, you know, just with a little extendo on it. You know, I can't quite get to the depth that she's satisfied with. So, you know, I exaggerated a little bit, right? I measured with, you know, the extendo piece on there. Yeah, and that I consider a part of me. So, yes, I do have a 12-incher on fuck days. When I'm just waltzing around in the street, I'm a soft maybe inch 3/4, hard, a hard 2 1/4, you know? And we've been fed that nonsense for so long that some of us bought into it. Some of us are now coming to terms with the idea that we were lied to, and that's a tough thing to deal with. You know, it's like a distraught ex-husband or wife once they realize like the truth is settled in and they realize the damage has been done, and they see the person for who they actually are, even though for all those years, you just didn't want to listen to the truth, you know? A lot of people, that is a great example. A lot of people, right? Like, are afraid to tell the person that wrong is being done to them. And a relationship is a great example, because how many of your friends are you scared to say that, hey, your old lady's fucking sucking off half the town when you're gone for work, right? You're scared to tell your friend that, because you don't want to lose the friendship. So you just carry on like all is jolly, and they almost get more. If you were to tell them, they'd be pissed off because they don't want to believe it. Like you're trying to sabotage their life. And it sucks. And then that person has to come to terms with it later down the road and realize that you were right. She was sucking off the whole town. And my buddy came to my saving, he was my savior in this scenario. I'm fumbling over some words today. I'm a little gassed up right now. I just can't fathom or accept the idea that a president-elect in my lifetime was a part of an assassination attempt. I know the country's politics I'm not totally involved with. I can't vote in America, but to me that is it's a crazy thing to witness. And like I said, like the articles that are coming out of this are nuts, are complete insanity. Like, let's get into this is my favorite one that I've seen. Forbes removes column that asks if Trump's surviving shooting will appeal to black voters. A controversial Forbes column with a headline that questioned if former President Trump surviving Saturday's assassination attempt would draw more black voters was yanked from its website amid social media backlash. The piece, "Will surviving gunfire be Donald Trump's next appeal to black voters?" by scholar and self-described DEI expert Sean Harper, was posted Sunday morning and quickly called out by critics on X. This is what I mean. Hold on, next paragraph. We'll get through that quick. The column described how black Americans face inexcusably high levels of gun violence, including many urban centers, which Harper wrote Trump could address through legislation and financial investments in urban black communities, including, it's funny that I believe Sean Harper is black. I believe that he is black. Let's make sure. I want to say that he is. Let's look at the images. Yes. Okay, perfect. It is funny that you get put in a position of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and self-describe yourself as an expert in this just solely on what merit, because you're willing to write an article like this. Is that what puts you at the forefront of being, a DEI expert? But it's funny how condescending this article comes across, but also it's more racist than anything I could drum up. I could go with the low-hanging fruit level of racism by, being like, yeah, he got shot the blanks. Now he's got something in common with them. But it's articles like this you look at, you scratch your head and be like, honestly, it could quite be something that Black Americans could identify with. And they kind of make a point. It kind of works against them a little bit and be like, yeah, I've been shot. Now that he has grounds on connecting with Black American voters, because now they're like, oh, that guy got shot. 50 Cent put his fucking face on the Get Rich or Die Trying album and then rapped Many Men. Immediately, like I believe the evening of this happening. Many men wish death upon me, blood in my eye, dog, and I can't see. And he's on stage with this image behind him, openly being like, Trump's my dog. And then the influence is now into rap music. You know, it's back. We're going back in time. At one point, Donald Trump was rapped about positively in like gangster rap music on having a lot of money and having hotels, having gold plated fucking logos on the front of those hotels. And now it's coming tenfold. The rappers are now back on his side. And what do? They influence a lot of the Black community. So now you're going to push these people to go out and vote. Because now the celebrities that were from that lifestyle can kind of see like, oh, damn, they are dogging this guy. But meanwhile, some dorks like this Sean Harper write this and then it works against it. You know, a lot of people come out and be like, what the fuck is this? And I imagine some Black folks came out and were like, what the hell? Just because we're Black, you know, not all of us are hood rats. But then it works against it because now the left looks fucking like lunatics when they put out this. But it also, you know, like maybe the Black community didn't think about it in this way. And they're like, oh yeah, now I do have something in common with Donald Trump. I got shot. I got shot too. It's crazy. The world that we're living in now. And the things like the left-wing politics is kind of eating itself. And I think that we're watching the end kind of form, you know. I think the end is kind of there for them because this is a wild take, I would say. This is a pretty wild take on Forbes' behalf to throw this out there. Now I know this is a contributor and he's not an actual journalist for them, and you know. The author mentioned Trump attempted to sway Black voters after he was indicted on various criminal charges and his mugshot was taken. And that's another example. It's like, now they're like, oh, yeah, I got a mugshot too. And that's how he's connecting with the Black vote? Holy hell. Hopefully being shot doesn't become a similar problematic strategy to link Trump with an experience that far too many, not all, Black people have. Instead, using his powerful platform to advocate fixing this through public policy and significant financial investments into urban Black communities is the opportunity that awaits Trump once he recovers from the tragedy that occurred at his rally. One thing everyone in my feed from MAGA to progressive agrees on is that this random Forbes op-ed sucks. Maybe that can be a starting place for healing. But that's the crazy times that we're living in right now, is like, this is how you can identify with a fucking president. It doesn't have to be his policies, him getting dragged through the court systems and a mugshot, and then getting shot on stage. It's a bit depressing, isn't it? It's a bit depressing when you really truly think about it. Left-wing ideology is slowly dissipating, I'm finding, and a lot of people aren't really caring for it as much as they were. When you're prosper and your purchasing power is much greater than what it currently is, especially here in Canada, Americans are feeling it as well. You then can care about these minuscule problems, then you can start to be like, yeah, you know what? All right. Yeah. Gay rights. Let's do it. 2000, let the gays get married. All right. Yeah. I'm doing good. I don't care. But the moment that things start going bad, your purchasing power diminishes and problems start arising. You're juggling between the idea of which should I pay? Do I pay my phone bill? Do I pay the water bill? Do I pay the power bill? Do I skip a mortgage? What do I do so that way I can further living in my homestead? What do I got to do to ensure that my quality of life doesn't just crumble from underneath me, right? So now people are a little bit more focused on selfish problems, as they should. I don't blame them, right? You're trying to figure out like how I can make my dollars last longer. How can I make more money? What are the things that I need to do to get further ahead? Meanwhile, the policies put in place are holding me back. And then, so a lot of this left-wing ideology is a tad self-serving, but when I say that, I don't even know. It isn't even a tad. A lot of it is self-serving. A lot of it comes from, from what I find, from what I see online, there's a lot of patting on the back, a lot of celebration of like kind of, I don't know, things that aren't even really accomplishments. I went out and I go out and I rally. I put a tent in the park. I put a tent in the park for a international problem that isn't directly affecting me. Right now, my student loans are through the roof. I really, I don't see a future with the degree that I went to school for the past 4 years, plus because I put Free Palestine on my Twitter. They are now kicking me out of the school. So I don't even get to finish my degree, let alone chase the career that I went and put all this time and money and effort into. Nuts. Complete insanity. Wouldn't that be something that'd be like you're 1 year away from being a journeyman and then you decide to go and take a piss on the boss's desk and tell him to eat your ass. I mean, like, I'm not saying that you can pick up where you left off somewhere else, but it's going to be rather difficult to get a job when your whole character has been tarnished due to, acting a bit retarded, which is fine. Everybody has to get a little retarded from every now and then. What's wrong with getting a little retarded, hack? You can't say retarded. But let's get this off here. A DEI expert. Speaking of DEI, the assassination attempts, first off, these three, is this what we're at? Is this where we're at? Is this like, because, a lot of folks that dive into these waters of conspiracy theories, right? A lot of folks that enjoy reading about this type of material. When you go deeper, right, there's always seems to be a connection between a 3-letter organization and the shooter. And what I'm, like the shooter is compromised in some manner, to go out and perform these acts. A lot of these acts are they are manufactured by some of these 3-letter organizations. And it's been proven, right? It's been proven. Lee Harvey Oswald, the CIA just came out and said, yeah, it was us. There's articles proving it, right? You can go there. We can start there, okay? So the shooter is involved with a 3-letter organization. And whether it was him that took the shot or not, he's the fall guy. He's the guy. Lee Harvey. Now we fast forward to 2024. Is this the best you got? Is this the best you got? This is who you have left to compromise in the country? Now, I'm not condoning any sort of political violence. I am not. I think that in the times that we are in, this is amplifying the idea of civil war happening. Yeah, and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see any of that. But when we are getting down to the nitty gritty, that's who you brought to the table? This no chin having dork? That's what the CIA, FBI, whoever's behind this, whoever it is, that's who you got. Are we so down to the bottom of the barrel on these compromised individuals to go out and perform these insane acts on behalf of the government that they are practically retarded? Is that where, are we just scraping the bottom of the barrel and whatever pops up, we're like, all right, this is the only one we have left, you know? It's kind of embarrassing. You have to be a bit embarrassed if you are, you know, like let's play make believe here. Let's play fucking pretend. Let's have fun with one another about this, right? And let's say that you know, the CIA or FBI are behind this. Now, this is all make believe. Okay. And we look back to the 90s, you know, look back to the 90s, early 2000s. Look like, you know, they were able to fucking dig up some guys they could radicalize and get them to do some shit they really wanted them to do. You know, they were, what was his name? Timothy, I can't think of his last name. The bombings, I believe it was the Oklahoma City bombings, right? I could be off. I could be off my mark. This is where I need Sam. He is like an encyclopedia at times. Timothy McVeigh. But now we fast forward to 2024 and we look like we got a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card collector out there on the roof. That's who's on the roof. And I know this is a bad take. I am happy. I want to make sure that, you know, I'm very happy that an assassination of the president did not happen. Okay. It's upsetting that a man had to lose his life at a rally for the president. It's very disheartening. It's concerning, right? It's very concerning. And that guy had one fucking job. He had one job to take out the and he couldn't do that. You couldn't do that. What was he, 140 yards? 140. What? Get the right artillery. Who's backing this operation? Who's backing this operation? Who just handed him a gun and said, go up there, son. Get the job done. Wink, wink. And this jerk off just starts firing random? Couldn't dial it in? That's the draft picks now. We are literally there. Nobody can be radicalized no more to go and do crazy shit. We can't, you can't convince. I think you ran out of trans people, right? And you don't want a trans person up there anyways. You know, it has to be the background of the character that does this has to be somebody that would align themselves with President Trump. Because if you go the other way, that's gonna ignite the fucking country. If a trans person assassinated a former president of the United States, well, that ain't gonna be good. That is not going to be good. Whoo, boy. I don't even want to think about what would happen, right? You don't even want to know. But we had a trans shooter already. It wasn't This is some dangerous grounds to walk, and I hope that you're appreciating the performative art that I'm giving you today. You know, this is some dangerous stuff to be talking about. This is a talk, but I'm just saying, like, this is where we're at when it comes down to radicalized individuals that will perform insane acts for these intelligence agencies. And I know this is conspiracy theory nonsense, Hack. What are you doing? But I'm just saying, like, you've seen the photos of the guy. We've all seen what he looked like. And you look at that and you're like, I could see it. You know, he looks like more of a close quarters inside a school, get the job done kind of guy. And I think that's what he should have been stuck. That's the mission he should have been put on. Because clearly anything over fucking 50 yards, he was fucked. He wasn't getting the job done. And he clearly didn't. And again, I want to come on and set the record straight that I'm happy that it did not happen. I am happy that it did not happen. But how many more of these retards are we going to dig up? Is that the last one? Who else? Christ almighty, the CIA was able to find guys to fly planes in new buildings. Okay? They were able to find guys to blow up all sorts of buildings throughout the country. They had a long list of shooters to do some crazy stuff. For what motives? Or for the motives, we'll never we'll never know the actual motive of the shooter. You know, like, some girl thought it would be pretty cool if I shot up the mall, so, you know, I did it. Never ended up getting any of that pussy, though. Not a shame. 30 minutes they knew that guy was wandering around. They had like, this guy's on our radar. 30 minutes. People were yelling, hey, there's a guy on the roof with a gun. I'm like, nah, you're just seeing shit. That's insane. But it starts to make sense when you start seeing all the shit surrounding it. You know, you start to see it for what the shit show it actually is. Because here we have what I consider is a brilliant move. Speaking of a DEI expert, I consider myself one as well. The Secret Service agents that are all female, watching them scramble was probably elite level content over the weekend. Elite level content. Watching women trying to figure out what the hell am I supposed to be doing right now. The one right here that I'm showing, she was photographed ducking behind the president. Your job is to protect the president. And here we see, and then at the RNC convention, I believe in Milwaukee the other night, yes, Trump walks out with just like these stoic giant men surrounding him. Well, that really worked out, didn't it? Where am I? Oh my God. So it's over, is it? That's all it took, was these two idiots scrambling, trying to figure out how to holster a pistol, and it's all over. Just like that, DEI is done. Let's watch it. Fury. Look at this one. They're looking around. She's trying to holster that thing. Zero of them are called. Let me put my shades on. How do I look? They don't know what the hell to do. Not a clue. They're like, get on the fucking door. No idea what they're looking for. You know, it looks like drunk women trying to figure out what Uber they should be getting into. That's what it looks like. It looks like 4 women who are hammered, who just left brunch, couple mimosas too deep, trying to figure out if this is their Uber XL. Do I get in? Do I get in? You get in. You get in? Who ordered the Uber? There's a lot of questions that are being tossed around right now that nobody has the answer to. You know, those female questions that they ask you that nobody really knows, you know. They don't. Women love to ask questions that really no one involved in the conversation knows the answer to? Like, for instance, you'll be driving down the road and your wife will be like, why is that guy doing that? Why is that guy driving down the wrong side of the road? And you're like, I don't fucking know. What the hell are you asking? Why is that guy got his pants down at a stop sign, rubbing his cock on the pole? Why is that guy doing that? You know, it's a lot of why questions that you'd never, ever, ever have the answer to. Women love asking those types of things, you know, for all day. And you got to answer like, I don't know. And then they get mad. Like when you never know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the motive for this guy to be naked in public right now. He probably lost his mind. He probably got asked all these questions that you're asking me, and finally his brain broke and he can't take it anymore. That's why he's out there helicoptering his cock in the middle of a boulevard, fucking hanging from a tree branch, shitting down his own back. I'm sure that had something to do with it. There's a lot of questions being asked to this guy over and over and over again that he just doesn't have the answer to, and you made him, and a fellow female made him feel like he was a fucking idiot because he didn't know the answer to these questions, and that's why he's criminally insane in public. Or it could just be fentanyl. I don't know, honey. You know, I don't know. Why is that guy doing that? Why is that guy doing that? Why is that guy doing that? I couldn't believe the things like that are, you know, like I said, I'm very happy that, you know, we didn't, I don't want to see an assassination. Christ almighty, some stairs almost took Joe Biden out. That would have been bad, you know. Imagine stairs. Yeah, we got to ban stairs. What do we do after that? We got some stairs. Trudeau had pebbles thrown at him. A lot of attempts. You imagine if one of those pebbles got into his ear or something like that, you know, and maybe they hit him in the wrong spot in the temple and he dropped. Imagine assassination by pebbles. Oof, that would be a bad one. At least Americans glamorize this, you know. They make sure the cameras are on. That you can appreciate that about Americans, is they really take into consideration of when and where and how. Russia does it in a very peculiar manner, I guess to say. They don't want the publicity behind any assassination attempts. They kind of maneuver in a different manner. They're more reserved in that sense. America, it's the glitz and the glam, and we need the photo, like Trump coming up in that photo. Fight, fight, fight. You know, that's very moving. You need that. You need that. Especially after an attempt like that. Holy Christ. I could not wrap my mind around that when I seen that. I could not wrap my... Pardon the fuck me. Some people were talking about it. I was at a wedding on the weekend. Oh, speaking of which, the groom had asked me to roast the bridal party, and I've never felt worse in my life. You know, inside a comedy club and all that, but I know. Well, what are you talking about? He asked you to do it, so you just do it. Yes, but this is a wedding with my friends, family, people I haven't seen in years. You know, they want to catch up with you. And then I got asked to MC this wedding, and one of the requests from the groom was that I roast the entire bridal party, and I come out strong. I'm hitting the ladies with it. Like, I know them, but I don't know them well enough on whether or not they're going to take this quite well. So, you know, you're firing shots, bam, 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 bam. And they're hitting. And they're hitting, but I did not feel good about it for some reason. I think there was a bit of, I don't know. There was a bit of empathy because these people are all dressed up. They're feeling, and maybe empathy is not the word. I don't know the emotion that I was really struck with, but I did not feel great doing it because it's supposed to be a celebration of two people coming together. And here I am just trying to fucking, you know, roast the shit out of everybody. But it went better than I expected, you know. And people are coming up to you. This is what gets me. People coming up to you afterwards and they're like, you should have went harder. And it's like, you need to calm the hell down. You need to calm the hell down. There is no going harder, all right? There is none of that is going to be taking place. I get it. I fucking walked a tightrope, got the job done, mission accomplished, felt good about it afterwards once I talked to everybody, and they were fine with it, right? But you don't want, who wants to see a bridesmaid cry? You don't want to see a bridesmaid cry. Well, I do. Anyways, but not in that particular. I want them crying after. Maybe I'm never mind. After I follow them into a porta potty, hey, that's when they should be crying in secret. After they catch me spying on them in a porta potty. You little pervert. Hey, what are you doing? Put your pussy over the hole and pee on me. What are you doing pissing on the floor like an animal? You think I'm hiding down here in this piss and shit for fun? I'm looking for you to piss all over me, hey? It's disgusting. DEI. DEI, ladies and gentlemen. We're really moving forward in that sense. It is fun watching it bite itself in the ass. Watching these women scramble. And the memes, you always love the memes that come out. They are always numero uno in this camp. We love the memes. But then now we switch it up and we go back to Canadian news. Canadian news to cleanse the palate, because that is some heavy stuff to talk about a presidential candidate going through an assassination attempt. That is some major stuff. Now, what comes out of this? Do we see this is going to help Trump in the polls better than ever? Better than ever. Because articles like the one that we read prior, that helps people identify themselves with the president. What do common Americans having, the regular day Americans have in common with somebody like Joe Biden? The love for ice cream? Smelling children? I don't know. How many folks are out there giving kids a sniff? Not enough, in my mind. Not enough of you out there getting a whiff of some Mexican kids in a fucking HEB, Just so everybody knows that he got a laugh track on his podcast. You don't want to know why? Because he's not funny. And speaking of that, we head on over to Winnipeg, ladies and gentlemen. Pro-Palestinian encampment at University of Manitoba dismantled after 2 months. Isn't that something? You want to know something fun? I didn't even know they had one. I didn't even know that the University of Manitoba had a Palestinian fucking camp out going. I thought they all got dismantled. I thought, University of Toronto got tore down, that one in Montreal. I thought it was all gone. I thought it was all wrapped up. We put a bow on it. But then there were 7 people who I think that they just suspected were homeless people at this point, until they started seeing the signs. And then they got some flags out there, and these 7 folks that participated in this encampment, and they weren't harming nobody. A pro-Palestinian encampment at the University of Manitoba has been dismantled more than 2 months after it was set up. Tents and other items were removed from an open grassy area on the campus in South Winnipeg, and university officials say the protesters left peacefully. It's like, hey, get the fuck out of here. Okay. The university had threatened legal action if the encampment remained beyond Monday morning. And that's all it took, did it? That's all it took. I know this is going to be a fucking ad. This is the protesters set up on May 7th at a time when many schools in Canada saw protests against Israel. Okay. This is where we thrive.
Protesting through the pouring rain. An encampment showing support for Gaza remains in place at the...
It is hilarious. Okay. What do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tents. The gate around it isn't very, the security detail here is quite lacking compared to what we've seen in places like Ottawa, Toronto. Toronto probably had the best one. They had that nice gate, like that concert gate around it, keeping people out, lots of posters along so you couldn't see inside. It was very difficult to see the activities that were taking place inside the encampment. This one, it was there. They attempted it. Not too many people paid attention to it. See, like I said, I wasn't even aware that these folks were out here doing this. I was unaware that this was a part of what the Winnipeggers were up to. They sure made a decent splash, and they didn't even put up a fight when trying to leave.
The University of Manitoba 1 week later.
We're ensuring that our encampments are peaceful. We do not tolerate any violence.
The U of M says the university leadership met with protesters on Monday.
Is that Arabian bubbles? Holy shit. Well, there's your security detail. This guy could see a fucking police officer coming from about 2 miles. Why wasn't this guy the shooter? With glasses like that, he's got like 10-time optics on that. He's got bird's eye view on everything going around. He probably scuttled up a goddamn tree and he was able to see like a 360 perimeter on what is coming in. University security is on its way. Holy shit. His eyeballs are 4 times what they normally would be with the magnification of those glasses. I'm impressed. We got Arab bubbles over here, camping in the middle of a university. Hussein Chokar.
Peaceful. We do not tolerate any violence.
The U of M says the university leadership met
Who's
with
coming to fight you?
on Monday. Hassan Shukur says more meetings are scheduled and he feels their message is being heard.
We have seen in the past how when the community is together, things happen, and this is what we're imagining to happen soon.
A similar scene over at the University of Winnipeg, where an encampment has been up since Friday. Protesters here who didn't want to appear on camera say the only communication they've had with university officials.
They put pallets up around this. These Workers Unite, Free Palestine. The messaging is always so scattered. There's never one direct message. It's not just Free Palestine. It's got to be Queers for Palestine, Workers Unite for Palestine, Free Palestine. What is Workers Unite? It doesn't look like much work is happening here, It doesn't look like you're getting out there and doing much work. If the workers were here, you would have a fence built that isn't made up of fucking pallets. One good breeze and this is done. One good breeze and it'll wipe the entire fence line that you guys have put up.
Is to tell them camping on university property isn't allowed. The U of W says it's continuing to monitor the encampment.
We demand... Okay, this is where it gets good. Disclose. This is what they want. Disclose, divest, defund, declare. Okay, so the University of Winnipeg has an obligation of financial transparency to its students, workers, and community. We demand the Board of Regents disclose all investments in endowments, short-term working capital assets, and other financial workings of the entire university hereafter. Divest. We demand that the University of Winnipeg divest its endorsement, capital gains, assets, and financial holdings from all, I can't really read that from where I'm sitting, from all operations in Israel, apartheid, and illegal occupation, and cut all academics and something ties with the Israeli institutions. Boy, they're going to be upset when they really go down the rabbit hole on Jewish investment. They are not going to like that. They are not going to be very happy once. See, this is like we're all just one knock in the head away from uniting on how we feel and think with conspiracy theorists and these left-wing extremist type groups. The messaging is quite similar. If you wrote down what they say on paper or were to basically transcribe the audio from a lot of the speakings of these people, and then you were to be handed a piece of paper of it and read it out loud, you would have a difficult time deciphering which side of the political spectrum they sit on. Now, it's the visuals, that separate them. Because on one side, on a more, what you could say, right-wing extremist, you would see like, oh, okay, white guy, fucking loves a very nationalist, believes in his country, wants his country to prosper. You could see that usually with their clothing. There's a lot of, pride in the country that they reside in with the articles of clothing that they wear. You could tell, some of these guys take fitness very seriously, and then you go to the other side and they they dress a little quirky, if you ask me. The one thing that I find interesting is this whole cultural appropriation that they've been preaching for quite some time, and now they're doing it themselves by dressing up as Palestinians or Arabs of that area, right? By wearing the keffiyeh. Did I say that right? I always fuck that up. The keffiyeh, kefefe, the keke, whatever it is. And now they kind of, they're leaning into a little bit of like what they said that they were, that they would naturally in public, if they've seen somebody wearing something of some other's culture that doesn't really align with the race that they are, there's a need to accost these individuals in public. But now they're letting it slide in the name of Free Palestine. Now, another thing on the board here, defend. I can't really see the declare one that well. I got the camera in front of it, so we're going to read the defend. We demand that no repercussions or disciplinary charges are aimed at students, staff, or faculty of the University of Winnipeg or the University of Manitoba as a result of any actions taken in support of Palestine. Sounds like a little bit of cake and eat it too, huh?
Operations or safety. A statement released by the U of W Faculty Association president says he supports the rights of students to protest peacefully without threat of reprisal unless there are clear violations of the law.
These are very tense times. The Jewish community is feeling singled out, is feeling discriminated against.
But Gustavo Zentner says he's still hearing concerns from members of the Jewish community, including university students and parents, and wants administrators at both universities to ensure the campuses are free of hate and safe for everyone.
They see flags and chants and certain signs that single them out. They make them feel unwelcome and unsafe. And that's precisely what we're hoping we will never see right here in Canada.
Back on campus, protesters at both universities say they don't have plans of going anywhere anytime soon.
We're going to continue here indefinitely until our demands are met.
The Winnipeg Police
That
Service
didn't
says
work out.
officers aren't on scene at either of the encampments, but they are keeping lines of communication open with both universities as well as protest organizers. Marnie Blunt, Global News.
Thank you, Marnie. Back to the studio of the Uncle Hack podcast. Winnipeg, once again, thriving like nobody else does. Nobody thrives harder than someone like Winnipeg, don't they? What a great... Oh, did we overheat? We overheated. I'm getting better. I got a fan on order. Last little bit here, shorter episode. Once again, we're going to wrap it up. Our closing remarks on the encampment in Winnipeg being dismantled is quite concerning. I feel that Canadians tend to have a bit more of a backbone, just to pack up and leave. The encampment participants have peacefully dismantled the encampment. So it's done. It's over. So now what? The protesters gave the University of Manitoba a list of demands that included a boycott of Israeli institutions implicated in human rights violations. Can't make any comment on that. I might get in a little bit of trouble. Oh, so all of them? Just joking. We're kidding, of course. You know, people I think may have moved on from the whole Gaza. It's not sexy anymore. It was for a minute, and I know like here we tend to cling on to things much longer, but it's not as sexy as it once was. We saw the similar thing with the similar reaction and decline of support with the Ukraine war, you know, and Canadian politicians are still trying to make that, you know, apparent that we are supposed to care about the Ukraine war right now. Now, we all have our own idea on what's going on there. Now, is this a motivation for those politicians then because there's compensation coming from the back end of it? Is there a little bit of money being sifted into these guys' pockets? No one will really know, but we do know is that like people, you know, we were passionate about this for a while. Summertime has hit. Now you got to do things with the family. You got to go out. You got weddings to attend. You got all sorts of events, outdoor festivals that are taking place, right? Like the Pride Festival that was just taking place in Toronto, and these guys hijack the parade and park their asses and try and make this about them. And then people were kind of like, they're kind of not dissuaded, I guess, from it. Is that a word? Dissuaded? Not persuaded, dissuaded. I believe is that the opposite? Either or. You know what? Don't listen to the ramblings of an idiot. We're just here to have a little fun and have a giggle about this. You know, this is the end result of what happens when, you know, support kind of declines with this. It's like people just kind of go back to doing what they do. They're going to continue the war. You can't pressure politicians, these institutions, to remove the funding into these organizations because the roots are much deeper than you putting your tent pegs. You know, they're much deeper than tent pegs in the front lawn of a university. All right. Like these are rich, powerful people that don't really give a shit what the fine arts major has to say. You know, the fine arts major minoring in Spanish, you know, they don't quite give a shit about your thoughts and feelings of it. And in fact, they're able to spin this more against you because now that, like, look what the one gentleman that was on there was able to be like, yeah, some people are a little afraid to walk around here. They're making them feel uncomfortable about what some of these guys are saying. So it becomes a compromised mission, you know. I believe we covered a lot of ground today about what's taking place, what's happening out there, and how we're navigating this, you know, and we're seeing through a lot of the nonsense that's happening out there in the big, beautiful world that we call Earth, that we all reside on, right? And it's quite intense. It's quite intense. We're ratcheting it all up. I hope that, you know, we don't see anything drastic happen. You know, I don't really, I'm not a fan of that type of violence. You know, it's disheartening. It's sad to witness. It's sad to know that a man lost his life. You know, I don't even want to see anybody, even from a opposing political side or anybody that would disagree with me. I don't wish violence upon anybody. You know, I want everybody to prosper and be good and us to, you know, get along to a degree. I think that, you know, there should be open conversation between all of us, that we should be able to talk to the other side and see how they're thinking and feeling. And I think that's a major issue. And that's how you get to the point where you have something like the attempted assassination of Trump is because now we're getting a little bit twisted. We don't talk to other folks. I've been paying attention to what's happening with the Diagolon guys, and what they're up to with their tour across Canada, and journalists and whatnot. They're showing up to their events, and they walk, and they're willing to talk, and they're willing to invite them. They have been very adamant on condemning any sort of violence. Don't bring any guns or weapons to the events. And then folks will be like, see, it's pretty sad that they have to put this out there. And it's like, well, yeah, you know what? The sad thing is like, you don't dig deeper, and a lot of concerts and events put out something like this. They put out a list of requirements that you need to follow, so that way you can get into the event. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, with reminding people of like why you're coming. You're coming there to have a good time. You're coming there to have a laugh, and seeing the smear campaign work almost for them is very interesting. Like a lot of people are seeing a different side. And another thing that's disheartening is journalists showing up to their events, right? They speak with them, but they act as if they're there to cause harm. But they're like, we'll talk with you. Oh, I'm scared. Then why are you here? Why are you here? Are you just here to gather some sort of false evidence? This is where we got to break the barrier and speak with one another. And that's the part that truly annoys me, is like, you're pressured into not talking to somebody. Look what COVID did to a lot of families and friendships, and just formed this idea that because somebody thinks and feels the other way than you do, that you're supposed to alienate them and not, converse in any matter with them. You're supposed to push them entirely out of your life because it's the right thing to do, which I totally disagree with. I like having people that disagree with me, because then it makes me think of like, okay, is how I think correct? It forces me to see a different side, and does that align with me? Rather than just sitting in these echo chambers and getting rah-rahed up all the time, I think it's necessary that we do have conversations with other folks and other walks of life, and because that's how you end up in the situations that we're in today. Is that you're supposed to be feel like you're vilified for associating yourself with something that you enjoy, something that you kind of align with, whether it's humor, sports, fucking, politics, whatever it is. Sports fanatics disagree with one another all the time, yet we all gather and sit and watch sports together. I don't understand why that can't be in other aspects of life. I may not agree with the encampments, or there is some stuff like it gets far out there, like that the whole Toronto GTA get together and let the kids swim naked with the adults is rather concerning. It's very odd. It's odd behavior. And then could be like, yeah, you gotta, if you're a minor, you gotta ask to have a picture with them. And so it's like, that's kind of odd. That's a little odd. That's a bit strange to me. I don't know. I've never thought to myself, it'd be a good time is heading down to the local pool with my hog out with children around me. I get worried. I get worried about even just being around my friends' kids for too long without them in the room. Not that anything's going to happen. But I just get concerned, or you see kids in public and you wave at them and you're like, you're making silly faces at them. And it's like, oh, fuck, I feel like I'm a fucking pedophile. Even though kids are just goofy, they're silly, they say wild, wacky stuff that make me laugh. And making a kid giggle is it's fun. It's there's some joy to be had from that. But then you wave at a kid And then like the parent sees you and they're looking at it and they're like, sorry, fuck. This probably doesn't look, you feel like an idiot, you know? You feel like an idiot. I guess my closing remarks today, folks, is enjoy yourselves out there. You know, we're only here to make some we're only here to make some silly jokes, make some bad takes, and that's primarily it. So hopefully see you out there on the road sometime. Hopefully bump into many of you. If you would like a extra episode of the Uncle Hack podcast, head on over to patreon.com/DangerCats69. And if you're looking for tickets, DangerCatShop.com. Both are in the description down below. And we'll see you out there, folks.